So today's lesson is a bit different from the other ones. It is part one of the design challenge. In today's lesson, the kids will look through all of the different challenges and try and find one that suits them. They'll do a bit of brainstorming, and they're free to change their mind during this time. So pick a challenge, brainstorm, try and come up with solutions, maybe materials that would be required. Settle on a challenge that they'd like, and they're breaking into teams. And then after that, you have what is essentially like the real brainstorm. So number one, they're picking their challenges, they're settling on what they like, they're going to teams, and then the big brainstorm, where they try and come up with solutions. They start drawing down what they might want to create, and they think of materials that would work from home. What's important is that the materials for this are taken from places like the recycling bin, or like as usual the previous lessons. So all of the materials in the previous lessons are available to be used in the design challenge. Don't allow the kids to go off and buy components for it. So spending €2 or €3 is no problem, but if you go and buy Lego or K'NEX or other pieces like that, it's kind of not in the spirit of the challenge. So again, kind of items out of the recycling bin. So home research is really important for this one. What you're going to want to do is ask the kids to just really simply Google what they're looking at, look at Google Images for ideas. If they're working on a parachute, something that they might notice is that parachutes tend to have a hole in the middle of them. They might ask you why that is, and you'll come up with a design that incorporates that. If they're working on bridges, there are loads and loads of college level competitions that have happened using glue and spaghetti to make bridges. They can happily look at those for ideas. They come back in the following day and they have their first attempt. So after their first attempt, they're going to break that down, see what went well, what went badly, and try and incorporate the good bits into their next design. So this should all be happening kind of the end of lesson 1, the start of lesson 2. And by the midpoint in lesson 2, they should have a final design, and they're working on it, trying to get it tested. So the objective here is to finish their design as best they can by the end of lesson 9, such that when lesson 10 rolls around, they can test it and have some fun, and if there are last minute additions or changes to be made, that they'll have time to do so. So something that teachers might find difficult is getting kids to stay on track. So in the end, we hope for them to test their idea and then to give a short presentation to the rest of their classmates. So we get them to track their name, what their team is, the materials that are available, and then importantly, we get them to essentially run through the engineering design process with this sheet. So we'll ask them, what is the problem, what is your goal? So they're defining the problem, they're coming up with solutions, they're planning and designing. They're going to build a prototype, which is, like I said, their first one that might not go well, but they'll learn from it, come back again and rework. So if they can document what they do on this sheet, that would be ideal. They also can use different scraps of paper, and the idea is at the end they'll speak to their classmates about why they chose the materials they did, what went well, what went badly, and then they could say, if we had more time, what might we have done? One thing that's important is try not to use a water-based glue like PVA if you're gluing spaghetti together. This is because the spaghetti will begin to absorb the water and lose its shape, and you might come back the next day and just have a big bowl of gluey spaghetti, more so than a bridge. With respect to kids that are struggling to come up with ideas, some projects are kind of simpler than others, and some have a lot more online about them. So maybe encourage kids that aren't able to come up with an idea on their own to just go on to Google and have a look at what people have done in the past. In engineering, we don't call it copying, it's kind of like taking inspiration. So final thoughts on that presentation. The idea is simply for the kids to document their thought process as they went along, talk about some challenges they overcame, and then maybe what they're proud about with their latest design.